Sadhguru, I'm kind of confused. Lots of times I want to make something happen and I do everything I can and I don't take no for an answer and it happens. Other times I do everything I can and it still won't happen. So are there things bigger than me at control, or is it still me doing it, or how does it actually work?
Whenever things don't happen the way you want them to happen, there is a temptation to think and name it as destiny. Because this is a way of dealing with failure. This is not destiny, this is just cheap psychiatry. You're trying to solace yourself to your present condition. If you want to make any situation the way you want it, outside situation, there are a million different ingredients here. Not all of them are you even aware of. Today, science can prove this to you, beyond any doubt. The way you're perceiving life right now through your sense organs, it is only enough for your survival. It is not enough to master your destiny. Today, modern physics and the neurosciences clearly telling you that whatever you're perceiving through five senses are not the way it really is. Here, sun is just setting. For your eyes, it is just going to be dark in a few minutes. But there is a whole host of creatures in this forest. For them, the day begins. So what's light for you is darkness for them. What is darkness for you? Do you hear them waking up? They're saying good morning.
Getting started.
So what is darkness for you is light for them. So sense organs are sufficient instruments for survival only. With that, you don't master your destiny. Because if you want to create a situation the way you want it, you have to have some mastery over your life energies. Because ultimately, the whole existence is energy. You can never logically figure out every aspect of life around you.
But a lot's happening out of our mind. We want to go on this course, we set it, and our mind takes us there, right? I mean, it starts with that.
I already told you, if you have mastery over your mind, 50 to 60% of your life will be in your controls. 50 to 60% of your destiny will be decided by you. And that's all. Still there's another 40% that you don't like.
Okay, but when you said, okay, what you were doing with these practices was introducing you to the Creator, basically, inside yourself, but it doesn't… that's not clear. You do the practices, suddenly your health straightens out. You're not clear you're making this introduction. I mean, it's still hard to understand what's happening.
See, whatever situations you're living in, you need to understand, to be human means that you can mold the situations the way you want it. You are not molded by the situations, you are molding the situations the way you want it. But today, most people in the world are molded by the situations in which they exist. That is simply because they're existing in reaction to the situations where they were placed. So their question will be, why was I placed in such a situation, first of all?
That's the first question.
Yes. Is it my bad luck? Is it my destiny that I was born to such parents? Is it my destiny that I am born in such a country or this part of the world or that part of the world? Everything that you know as myself today is just an accumulation of impressions and physical body. What you accumulate can be yours, can never be you, isn't it? So what is you is yet to be introduced to you. It is yet to come into experience. It is in an unconscious state. You're only conscious of small parts of your accumulation. You're not even 100% conscious of what you have accumulated. So you are trying to live your life through your accumulations. You're trying to live your life through what you have gathered, not through who you are. Now, because of the type of accumulations you have developed certain tendencies, so naturally you move in certain directions. Today, science has proved to us, beyond any doubt, that the whole existence is same energy. the air and the water are actually same energy. Yes?
Yes.
H and O are here.
Mm-hmm.
When they gather together in the right proportion, H2O,
Right.
this is it.
Right.
Very different, isn't it?
Yes.
Look at the water body, look at the air, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can breathe, there you cannot breathe, you'll drown. So now water has certain tendencies. Right now, people believe and eulogize this usually, that the river's destiny is ocean. River's destiny is not ocean. River has no destiny. Because water, because it's H2O, because of a certain gathering, it has acquired a certain tendency. So it is always trying to find its own level. Because of that, it's moving in a certain direction. Here we are, this river or this bunch of streams have been dammed. Do you think the water which is dammed here and is right here right now is screaming, I want to go to the ocean?
Probably not.
It is not screaming that it wants to go to the ocean. It has no idea what is the ocean. It is not longing to go to the ocean. But if you open up the dam, naturally it may go. That is because of the tendencies of the water. Similarly, you have acquired certain tendencies depending upon what you have gathered within yourself. What type of impressions you have gathered, accordingly you have gathered tendencies. It is not that this cannot be changed. This water is trying to go to the river, always flowing downward, isn't it? If evaporation happens, suddenly the water moves upward. Isn't it defying the law?
So we can change…
Similarly, whatever your current tendencies are, if you do certain things with yourself, you can completely change that. In 24 hours' time, you can completely rewire yourself, irrespective of your past experience of life.
Completely.
Your genetics,
Completely.
your DNA, yes.
In
Irrespective
24
of who
hours'
your parents were, where you were born, where you grew up, irrespective of all that, you can completely rewire yourself in 24 hours' time. I can show you any number of people who have become like that, totally transformed. That's what we mean by transformation. We're not talking about change, we're talking about transformation. So, what's wrong with the way I am? Nothing wrong. If you ask me, what's wrong in being limited? Nothing wrong. It's just limited, that's all.
I'm not asking that.
100 years ago, whatever they believed as their destiny, many of those things, we have taken them into our hands, isn't it today? Varieties of diseases, infections, deaths. All these things we believed were destiny. If 1 million people died of black plague, we thought it's their destiny, it's God's will, isn't it? They even told you, your marriages were made in heaven. You don't believe that anymore, do you?
Maybe once.
So many things you believed because that's what they told you, but many things that you thought was really destiny, out of control, determined by God or somebody else up there, today all those things are in your hands, because we have taken charge of a few things. So what we call as technology today is just this, that within the laws of nature, everything that could be taken charge of, someday we will take charge of it on the outside. So when I say inner technology or inner engineering, that's all I'm saying. Everything that this life is naturally happening to a certain law. If you understand, if you perceive and if you know what is the nature of life within you, you can take charge of it completely, the way it happens. If you take charge of your life completely the way it happens, your physical body, your mind, your emotion and the life energies, if you take charge of it, then would you let any unpleasantness happen to you?
Never.
Unpleasantness is happening to you in the form of anger, fear, anxiety, stress, because your basic faculties like body, mind, energy, emotion, nothing takes instructions from you. They're doing their own things, as if they don't belong to you. They must be doing… Your mind and your body is here to serve the life within you. But right now, the life within you is enslaved to your mind and your body. This is a complete distortion of life, the way it should function. You're trying to handle life topsy-turvy, upside down. So no wonder so many things are out of control. Even if things are in control, you're still anxious.
Sadhguru, why is it running on its own, the mind? And I mean, where did all this? How did I start it, or how did it get started?
Every moment of your life, whether you're awake or asleep, moments of sleep and moments of wakefulness, everything that comes in contact with your five senses is recorded within you on many different levels. On the level of your mind, on the level of your body, on the level of your chemistry, on the level of your very energies, it is recorded. These are the backup systems so that you don't lose your software. This software is what traditionally people are referring to as karma. Karma means a certain accumulated mass of information which has now formed its own tendencies. Here in the East, in India, we refer to these tendencies as vasanas. What vasana means is, literally means smell. So what kind of garbage you have in your head, that's the kind of smell. Accordingly, things happen to you, that's the kind of life you attract towards yourself, that is the direction in which you go. So, this is accumulated impressions. It is a software that you wrote for yourself unconsciously. Whatever you can do unconsciously, you can also do it consciously, isn't it? So if you start writing a conscious software for yourself, definitely you would write a software of blissfulness and of liberation, not of bondage and misery. You would not cause any kind of misery to yourself consciously. So, essentially the problem is just that you're unconscious of many aspects of life within yourself. You're trying to conduct your life without understanding how this human mechanism functions, what it is about. It is just like you got into your car, you don't know what these three pedals are. In America you have only two, yeah? Okay. You don't know what these two pedals are. Whenever you feel like it, you kick any one of them. You know what a jerky driver you will be?
Terrible.
Right now, isn't your well-being that jerky?
Sort of.
It is, isn't it? You went outside, someone told you, you're the most wonderful person on this planet. You are floating on cloud, what number?
9 at least.
Only 9? In India we do it on the 11th one. So you came floating on that cloud, you came home and people at home told you who you really are, and it crashes. So your well-being is so fragile. Your sense of happiness, your peacefulness, everything is so fragile. People say, if you sit next to a still lake, you will become peaceful. The still lake doesn't know what is peace, I want you to know this. Peace, or there's too much talk about peace, is a concoction of disturbed minds. Too many disturbed minds, so they're making up this whole business of peace. You don't have to do anything to be peaceful. If you don't mess yourself, you are peaceful. How else to be? I don't know how else to be.
You haven't got yourself all stressed out.
So now, if the still lake is giving you peace, so all I have to do is take a pebble and throw it into the lake and you're finished. How fragile it is. Now you make yourself in such a way, if you sit here, if the lake doesn't know peace, the lake should become peaceful because of your presence, because these are all inanimate objects. But here, the very source of creation is becoming conscious. I'm not saying it is not there, it is there also, but in a different form. Here it is much more possible to access. Once you have access of that, your presence settles everything around you. What is around you doesn't settle you. Right now, if they want peace, they go to the top of the mountain, a lake or an ocean. No, wherever you go, that whole place should become peaceful. We have sayings like this in India, if one being gets enlightened, the whole world will experience peace. When there are poetic ways of expression. When certain yogis got enlightened and they walked through the forest, the trees bloomed out of season.
So does it, one enlightened being affects the whole creation in a positive way?
Definitely he does. Definitely he does. If you have a small percentage of them, the world would change dramatically. That's what we're trying to create. That's what we're working for, to create at least a small percentage of them. If you create a small percentage of beings who are totally in charge of the life process within themselves, their very reverberation that they create, they can bring peace to the world. At the same time, I'm not talking about peace in terms of war and peace. Even if there's no war, there is no peace in human mind.
It can create all kinds of
Yes,
chaos.
there is a war being waged upon yourself, within yourself, isn't it?
Regularly.
If that is taken off, there is peace. If there is no violence in you, the possibility of violence on the planet is remote, isn't it?
Definitely.
We are always trying to fix the world. Our ideas of revolution is always about fixing the world. We have fixed the world substantially. If you fix it anymore, there'll be no world left. That far we have gone. However much you fix the world, still human beings are not happy because we have not done anything about fixing the interiority. There is no universal salvation without individual salvation. There is no universal transformation without individual transformation. If you, me and one more person are transformed, a small piece of the world is transformed. This is the only way it can happen. It cannot happen from somewhere else. It can only happen from within. So when we talk about spiritual processes, we are not talking about going to temple, mosque or church. We are not talking about looking up or looking down or looking around. We are talking about looking inward, which is a completely different dimension. All your life you looked outward. Look at the irony of it right now. Let me tell you something. This moment you're sitting here, do you see me? Where am I?
Right here.
Where?
Right here.
Here. Not true. This light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in the retina, you know the whole story. So where am I right now?
Right here.
Yes. So you see me inside of yourself. Where do you hear me?
Inside
of yourself. Where are the mountains? Where are the mountains?
Seeing them inside
of yourself. Where is the lake?
So that's like
inside of yourself.
This is like some
So,
hologram?
have you seen anything outside of yourself?
I guess not.
You have not. Your whole perception has always been within yourself. But now the problem is, your sense organs are outward bound. So your sense organs never give you access to the internal, but your whole experience of life is internal. This is the struggle. This is the reason why people are not in charge of their lives. This is the reason why people think their lives are being run from somewhere else.
But for me, for 30 years, I've known I wanted to go inward and I've had no luck.
Nobody ever does it by luck.
Well, even with effort, it didn't work.
Let me tell you a joke. You know, our center in Michigan, if you go there in winter, one of the sport for people is ice fishing because the Great Lakes freeze and people go cut a hole in the ice and do fishing. So on a certain day, an old-timer went ice fishing in the peak winter time, just around Detroit. So he cut a small hole, sat down, put his line and sat down there with a crate of beer next to him because fishing is a patience game. So he waited the whole day. The beer cans got emptier and emptier, he got little dizzy, but no fish. Went morning 10 o'clock, already 4 in the evening, still not a single fish. But it doesn't matter. Fishing is not about fishing. Fishing is about killing time and drinking beer. But then at 4 in the evening, a boy from downtown area with a huge boombox on his shoulder, blaring rap music, came jiving like that and came, sat down close to the old man, somewhere little away, at a little distance from the old man, cut a hole, sat down for fishing. He put his line. The old man looked at him. No fool like a young fool. Both of us agree. I have been sitting here the whole day quietly and I have not caught a single fish. And the fool comes with blaring music and he hopes to catch fish. And he ignored him and focused on his fishing. To his amazement, within 10 minutes the boy caught a huge trout. He landed a huge trout and it went into his basket. He couldn't believe this. He looked at him. Then he thought, ha, flash in the pan,
Luck.
ignored it and focused on his fishing. But in another 10 minutes, the boy landed one more trout. Now he could not ignore him. This is not luck. He just sat there looking at the boy. The music was blaring, the boy was jiving, sitting down, and in another 10 minutes he landed one more trout. Now, he kept his he kept his pride aside and slowly walked down to him and asked, "I've been sitting here the whole day and not a single fish. In 30 minutes you have 3 wonderful trout in your basket. What is this? What is the secret?" The boy lowered the music and said, "Roo-ra, roo-ra, roo-ra, ra, rough." Said, "What?" The boy repeated, "Roo-ra, roo-ra, roo-ra, ra, rough." The old man said, "I don't understand what you're talking about." Then the boy spat out a blob of something into his hands and said, "You have to keep the worms warm."
Oh.
You got to do it the right way, otherwise it won't happen. So you sitting there the whole day, that's not the point. You have to do the right thing, otherwise life doesn't work. It doesn't matter who you are. Life doesn't work for you unless you do the right things. Always people who believe that they're good people are always wondering why it's not working for them and why it's working for someone else. Whoever does the right thing, for him it works. The existence is not judgmental. So you're a good person. So, even if you don't water the tree, will it grow? You're a bad person. If you take care of the tree, will it grow? So good, bad, all these things are in your head. These judgments are essentially human and socially conditioned. In every society they have their own idea of what is good and bad. But the existence is treating all of us the same way. Whoever is receptive right now, he gets the bounty of life. So the whole aspect of yoga is to make you receptive.
What does that mean, though?
When I say receptive,
what does it mean?
what is being receptive? I don't know how many years ago you heard of Isaac Newton. He saw an apple falling down. And that's a great observation. I'm sure every village boy knew that apples fall only down. Anyway, he noticed it and the law of gravity was propounded. The apple fell down, that's true. He noticed that, wonderful. But he did not notice the whole big tree has grown up against the gravity. You never noticed that?
True.
Isn't it?
True.
The rain is falling down,
Right.
that's fine.
Right.
But how did the cloud get up there first? So, there is gravity and there is grace. You are only available to gravity as long as your experience of life is limited to the physicality of who you are. If your experience of life transcends the limitations of the physical, then you become available to grace. Suddenly you function like magic. Other people think you're magic, but you know, you're beginning to access and become available and become receptive to a different dimension of life. And for everybody it is wide open right now. Nobody is better equipped than another person. When it comes to outside realities, all of us are differently capable. What you can do, somebody else cannot do. What someone else can do, you cannot do. This is how it is. But when it comes to inner possibilities, all of us, every one of us, every human being is equally capable. You are not any less capable than a Buddha or a Jesus or anybody for that matter. Now you're looking at me in a certain awe because of the way I live. You're not less capable than me when it comes to inner realities. When it comes to the outside, we are differently capable. For sure you can't drive like me.
For sure.
But you could meditate like me, nothing to stop you. You can be joyful like me, you can be blissful like me, nothing to stop you. But outside physical capabilities are different, they're acquired. But inner capabilities, all of us have to the same extent. Unfortunately, never explored, never accessed.